All right. Oh, well, I just started talking. Can you hear me now? Okay, cool. Yeah, I haven't started talking yet. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. So before we go into content, just a quick reminder that this Friday will be asynchronous instruction for all of your classes. So remember to check Google Classroom for each of your classes for an asynchronous assignment. For my class, it's just going to be our regular learning journal post. But check your other classes for what your teachers are planning for that day. So every teacher is going to be doing professional development that day, which is why we're not holding live classes that day. Okay, what else? I also sent out a message to everyone on Jupiter about just kind of consolidating all the details about AP testing. And I just wanted to let you know that it's on our website. So anytime you can locate it by going to students, the student section on the website. And then on the right here, there's kind of like an extended menu and you can click on AP exams. And that'll have all the details that you need, including some frequently asked questions. And then if there's anything that needs to be clarified, you can email me or ask it in class. I did want to make sure you were aware of one correction. I think I was saying that the payments were due March 3rd. I think that's the last date that we have as a school to send in the money. So what I'm being told is the last day to actually pay uh, is actually February the 11th. So just be aware of that. And then the fee breakdown is down here. All right. Let's see, any other updates? We've got our second progress report on, oh, Sergio, this is just for people who want to take the AP exam. You don't have to pay for it, only for people who want to take it. And then, yeah, progress reports. If I go to calendar here, it'll actually tell you your progress report, second progress report is on the 6th of November. So it's right here. And for my class, I will accept late work to count towards that progress report up till noon on Wednesday, November 4th. Good question, Sergio. So the AP test, if you are interested in taking it, if you pass it with a 3, so it's out of a 5-point scale, if you pass it with a 3 or higher, you get college credit at most UC schools, University of California schools, and CSU, California State Universities. For this particular class, computer science principles, you get elective college credit. So it's just like a class that you don't have to pay for in college. And universities are actually pretty expensive. It's like, gosh, I think it's like $4,000 per class now. For the late work, you don't have to send me an email, but what you do, uh, what you want to do is actually physically submit it on Google Classroom. So say you complete something on code.org, it does not notify me that you completed something on code.org. So what you would do is just find that assignment under, most of them are going to be Unit 3. You'll find that assignment and just click submit, and then it will actually send me an email. And if you can't figure out how to do that, sure, you can send me a message with that as well. It's just easier for me because then when I go into code.org, I'll actually see, here, I'll show you. I'll see like this turned in thing, and that way I could just look at the work that's actually turned in, and then I know to grade it. So it just makes it easier on me if you just mark it as completed on code.org. Yeah, thanks for the question, because I think that helps a lot of people. Okay, so last time we finished up lesson 7, debugging. So if you haven't turned that in yet, make sure you mark that as completed on Google Classroom once you have all the puzzles done. And that's actually going to be the last assignment that will be on your progress report. So everything we do from today on will be part of your final grade, your final semester grade, and not on this progress report. So the next thing we're going to start on doing is lesson 8, which is designing an app part 3. And so what this lesson will do is if you actually click on this link, you should see the application that you started back on lesson 4, because it transfers all the stuff that you did from that lesson to this part right here. So we're actually going to get officially started on lesson 8 next class, but I just kind of want to prepare you for it first. Okay, so let's go back to Google Classroom. And what I've done is I've kind of explained what you're going to be doing in lesson 8. And here's kind of the bullet points. So you're going to be adding on event handlers to any button or interactive image that you put in your application screens. You're going to be coding your on event handlers with set screen functions so your user can navigate across all your application screens. And then you're also going to add at least one sound to your application. And you can either make it so that the sound is triggered by an on event handler, say like clicking a button and then you hear a sound, or you can put in sound that kind of loops in the background while the app is running, like some background music or something. And then I'm providing you with an example of my application where you can both play with the application and see how it works. And you can also look at the code. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this link right here. And I'll go ahead and put it in the chat so you can look at it too. There we go. All right, so in this document, I've put a link to my application, but I also put a screenshot of my code that you can look at as kind of like a guide, because you'll see some very, I think these are patterns that everyone is going to use in their application. Everyone's going to have, on event blocks that trigger a click event for a button, at least one button, right? And you're going to have at least one on event block that actually sets the screen to go to like a next screen, some other screen. And then I also noticed that in my event handler, it also plays a sound, like a sound effect. So if I go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and open my application now. So here's my application in like the shared form, right? You could do this too if you like want to share your applications with like a family member or a friend or something. I'll show you how to share your applications later. But basically, now you can kind of play around with this application. And so if I click on the avoiding the door zone button, so back over here, this is the event handler for it, then I should hear like a little bicycle bell ringing. And then I'll see the screen change to my door zone screen. Go ahead and click that. And I don't think I'm sharing my sound, so you probably didn't hear it if you're not doing it yourself. Let me share my sound. There we go. So let me go back. So I'm going to click on home to go back to the home screen. And then if I click on avoiding the door zone, I'll hear that bicycle bell ring. And let's see what else. So notice that, like, I know some of you will have images that you want to click on too, not just buttons. So I went ahead and I put an example of that too. So I have this event handler for my door zone image. And if I click it, I'll see another kind of information screen pop up. So if I go back to my application, here's my door zone image. So when I click on that, I get more information about the door zone. And then if I click back, it'll go back to that door zone screen. And if you have images that are clickable, you want to make sure that you let your user know, because it's not really intuitive for the user to know that I can click on an image and get more information. So notice I kind of like called out that action. I put click on the image below to learn how to avoid the door zone. So you want to make sure that your application is easy to navigate and that it's easy for your user to know how to actually navigate your application. So the home button is pretty obvious. You know, it's going to go home, right? And then we'll click on the fit a helmet, which will also have that sound. And then we've got this other information screen that just has like an image that tells you how to fit an fitted helmet, and then you can go home. So this is very much like what you're gonna do next week. You're gonna implement those event handlers so that you can navigate to each screen. You're gonna have at least one sound, and you're gonna make sure that your screens are easy to navigate. So let me show you, I'm gonna show you a couple more things. I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna grade this, and then I'm gonna show you how to import your own sounds. So I put a link down here. This is a good resource called soundbible.com that is reliable, and it, you can download MP3s from there for different sound effects. Excuse me, I don't know why my throat keeps closing up. So I want to show you, what did I want to show you first? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Well, let's go ahead and, oh yeah, that's right. I was gonna show you how I'm gonna grade you on this part of the application. So if you go to the assignment here, which is lesson 8, and we click on the rubric, I'm gonna grade you on 3 different things. I'm gonna grade you on your user interface navigation, and that's how easy or intuitive it is for the user to navigate between each of your screens. So you can get up to 3 points for this. So if the user can easily navigate to all the different screens, you'll get full points. Or if I just can't figure out how to navigate, or there's no like event handlers or anything to get to the next screen, then you'll get 0. You might have varying implementation problems. You might have implemented event handlers for maybe 1 button, but not the rest. In that case, I'll either give you 1 point or 2 points. Okay. The other thing I'm gonna grade you on is something I graded you on last time, which is the user interface elements. So for this, to get 3 points, you're gonna have to have at least 1 piece of text, 1 image, and this time I'm gonna also be looking for audio. So remember, you can put audio on an event handler to play when you click on something, or you can just have audio playing in the background. And I'll show you I'll remind you of how to do that in just a bit here. If you're missing anything, then you can lose points on this section. The last thing I'm gonna grade you on is your code. So if you just don't do anything, code is blank, you get 0. If you code and you have maybe some errors, you'll get 1 or 2 points, but if your code runs without any errors, then you'll get the full 3 points. So this time around, for this stage of the application project, you can get up to 9 points. Okay? All right, so any questions on how you'll be graded or anything like that? And you can always access this rubric yourself too. All right, so let's talk about where you're actually going to be programming this and how to kind of add sounds that aren't in the code.org library. So if I click on this, I think I already showed you this. If you want to look at your own application, you can go ahead and go there. If you're in a team, you won't see your application unless you're the leader who started it, unfortunately. But when I put you into breakout groups next week, you'll be able to work together again. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about the sounds and stuff. So you already know that you can basically drag out the play sound block, and you can pick a sound from the code.org library by navigating here and picking whatever you want, choose, and then you've got a sound. But what if you want a different sound that's not in there? Maybe you want to record yourself reading something. Like I know there was at least one group that wanted to read like the steps of how to do something. They had the text on the screen, but they also wanted, the user to be able to play someone reading out the steps. So to do that, you can do this. You're gonna go to choose, And then instead of being in the sound library, you're going to go to make new sounds. And then over here, you can actually record audio. And then the first time you're going to do this, it's going to ask you for permission. It'll be like a little pop-up right here in this area in the top left. You're just going to give it permission to have access to your microphone. And then what you want to do is you want to just give your sound a name. So it's like my recording or whatever. And then you can click this record button and it will record your voice. So I can go ahead and record. Like, this is my recording, this is very interesting, yeah, and then press stop. Okay, so now I can go ahead and choose that. And now that I've chosen my recording, if I play my app, it's gonna go ahead and play. Like, this is my recording, this is very interesting, yeah, and then, okay. So there's my voice, and I can use that in my application, so you can choose to do that as well. But what if I didn't want to record my own sound? What if I found a really good MP3 that I wanted to include in my application? So I'll go ahead and, well, I have an MP3 on my computer that I can do that with. So I'll go ahead and show you. So I'm going to click and drag stop sound, or not stop sound, play sound over here. And what I can do is click this arrow again and then choose. And then again, I want to go to make new sounds. And this time, instead of recording audio, I'm going to go to upload a file. And I'm going to go to my desktop where I saved it. And I'm just going to go ahead and upload that. Okay, so what I just uploaded was the service bell sound right here. And now I can choose that. And now it'll go ahead and play. Okay. Okay, so now let's talk about so that sound resource. You can use Sound Bible. If you have your own MP3s, you can use that, but if you're looking for sounds, I really recommend this resource because it's not it's not suspect in any way. It's a reliable source, and you could just search for stuff like I don't know, search for like a bird sound or something. And you can actually preview them here. So you can decide if you like it before you download it. Okay, that's definitely not a bird. That sounds like a sick crow. Ooh, pterodactyl screech, let's see that one. That's pretty good. Okay, so let's say I wanted this pterodactyl. This is kind of sus. It's not sus. It looks a little sus because of like the ads, but they're just trying to make money to actually afford hosting all these sounds. It does sound like a purge announcement. This one right here. The purge has now commenced. It does kind of sound like that. Okay, so say I wanted the pterodactyl. I would just click on it and then notice, so this part does look a little sus. You are totally right, because you've got like this ad here and like it's trying to like play some like Flash, embedded Flash, which I've disabled because Flash is not safe. They just need to update their website. But all you want to worry about is downloading the MP3, and you'll see two options, WAV and MP3. You'll always want to click on the MP3 because that is what works on code.org. Code.org does not like waves. So just click on MP3 and that'll download over here. And hopefully you know where it downloads. I'm going to go ahead and show it in Finder here. And I'm going to make sure that it went to my desktop so I can find it. Okay. So then I can go back to my application, which is over here. Okay, and now I can go ahead and upload that sound instead. So make new sounds, upload a file, and now I can do my pterodactyl screeching. And I'll choose that. And now I can go ahead and run it. Okay, cool. So I've got that. So the other thing was, what if you wanted, so if you want a sound to play on an event, make sure you put it inside of an event handler like I did here. And then if you just want something to play in the background, put it outside. So I've actually put this pterodactyl sound on the outside. I don't think that's a really good sound to loop. You might want some music instead to loop in the background. Otherwise, it's going to be really annoying like this. There you go. So this actually takes a while to loop, but you probably want some background music if you have something on loop instead of like a weird pterodactyl screeching. That's just my advice to you. Probably is what you want. Yeah. But I think there's actually some background music on here as well instead of just sound effects. Let's music. Yeah, there's some different music. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's definitely not what I wanted. That's kind of annoying as well. Okay, well, if you want to use like real MP3s too, that is okay, because we are not trying to sell this application. We're not releasing it to the public. So we're not trying to benefit off of it. So if you have like an MP3 of your favorite song that you want to loop in the background of your application, you could totally do that as well. Okay. For some reason they have happy birthday to you. That's a little bit creepy. So maybe if you want, in the future, if you were trying to make like a jump scare type game, you might want that in the background. But yeah, that's how you can integrate sounds from external sources. Any questions on sound, including it in your applications, stuff like that? Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about today is about pair programming. So I know that last time we worked on these applications, for those of you who were in groups, I had you use this pair programming thing right here. So let me stop that. And I noticed that not everyone set it up. You don't have to set it up if you're by yourself, obviously. But if you are working with one or more people, you want to make sure that you turn this feature on. And so I'm going to be checking to see who didn't do it. And if next week it's still not set, I'm going to visit those teams and make sure you've done it. But I'm going to show you one more time right now, so it's on the recording too. So if you are the leader, meaning you're the one that actually created the application screens on your account, you're going to basically go up here where it shows your name. And if it doesn't say your name, if it says team already, you've already done this, so you don't have to worry about it. But you're basically going to go to your name, and then you're going to click on pair programming. And then by default, it should show our class, but if it doesn't, you're going to go ahead and select our class, which should be a PCSP. I don't see it here because I'm not a student in that class, so I'm going to just choose one of these. And then what will happen is you'll see all of your classmates in a list like this. And what you're going to do is you're going to pick the people that you're actually working with. So you might have 1 or 2 different partners. I'm going to go ahead and click Dina. And then once I'm done, I'll just click Add Partners. And now if I look up here, it'll have this little group symbol, and then it'll say that I'm working in a team. So if you're working with 1 or more people, you want to make sure that you have this pair programming thing turned on so that I can see that you're part of that group. Okay. The other thing that's going to be really, really important is that the leader, the person who has the screen stuff on their account, they should be sharing their screen when you're in the breakout rooms. And the reason for that is so that the other people can actually see what's going on. Because if they log into their account, the non-leaders, they're not going to see this stuff on their screen. Usually we're in the classroom, and so y'all can be working on one computer, and that's not an issue. But since we're virtual, we can't be like on the same computer, which is why the leader should really be sharing their screen in the breakout rooms. And then that way, what the leader's role should be is they should be like dragging all the stuff onto the screen or dragging the code over here. But that doesn't mean that the other people, the people who are not the leader, shouldn't be just sitting there and watching. They should actually have a more active role. They should be telling the leader what to do. They should be saying, oh, okay, so we need an on event block that controls what happens when we click on DZ button. So click and drag that over. So basically, anyone who's not sharing their screen, anyone who is not the leader, should actually be telling the leader what to do, if that makes sense. So no one should just be sitting and watching and not really doing anything. Okay, so to close out today, I'm going to show you a video about pair programming and why it is important. And it's actually on code.org. So I'm going to click over here, and it's just a couple of minutes. So I'm going to play a couple seconds and let me know if you can hear it okay. Oops, I didn't mean to press continue. Okay, can you hear that okay when I play it? Yes, no?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, cool.
Great things come in pairs. Peanut butter and jelly.
Salt and pepper.
Batman and Robin.
Pizza and pepperoni.
I disagree with you there. I think pizza and spinach.
Pair programming is when two people work together at the same computer to write code. There are two roles. One person is the driver.
And one person's the navigator.
The driver is the person using the computer, actually typing the code.
The navigator is keeping track of the big picture and helping the driver decide what code to write next.
Your driver is your Jedi, and your navigator is your Yoda.
Oh, you already wrote the test? Or are we
No,
missing
I kind of faked it.
Okay, I'll
so
make
I
a
got
note that we
part
should
right
come back to it.
Okay.
Sometimes when I'm stuck and I'm programming on my own, I'll ask somebody else to be my pair programmer because they may see a solution that I missed.
Like this one?
And then it was okay.
Okay.
It's important to switch roles often.
So that we can practice both roles and learn from one another.
You want to switch?
Yeah,
I think I'd rather be
yeah.
navigator right now. Thank you.
I do mistakes while coding. Of course, it's normal.
This button isn't working.
It's a bug. I think pair programming makes it a lot easier to ask for help. You figure out that making mistakes is okay. Oops. And you learn how to forgive yourself and also other people when you're working with a partner, which makes you become more sociable and easier to talk to, which is a useful skill in life.
Yep. So when you get the opportunity to get other people's point of view on things, it's very important to take that advice.
Because you realize you were wrong, you accept the feedback, and then you become better because of it.
Hey, it works.
You're looking at the human part and the code part. You're not just coding without any emotions. You're coding as a person with another person.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
And as people, we need to have good conversations while we're coding so that we don't become like robots. Pair programming is working together
To write code
as a team.
and as friends.
Okay, so basically what I wanted you to get out of that video is how important pair programming is, not only when you're a beginner, but also pair programming is used in the professional field as well. It makes it easier for people to ask questions, to reach out for help, because the reality is it is totally okay not to know what you're doing when you're programming. It happens to people all the time. It still happens to me. When I was getting my CS degree just this last year, I did a ton of pair programming, both like helping people and other people helping me. So that's why it's going to be really important if you're working with a group on this project for the leader to be sharing their screen so that the other people can really have eyes on the code. And it just makes it more likely that silly errors like syntax errors where you're putting typos or just missing a step can be recognized more easily because you have more people looking at the code. And it can also help if you're like talking out like the steps instead of just like keeping it all in your mind. It's much easier to kind of like understand what you're supposed to do. So I just wanted to kind of like make sure that those of you who are working in groups are really, really, really truly doing pair programming instead of one person doing all the work and other people watching, because that's not as helpful to either person really. Okay, are there any questions for me? I hope you all feel kind of confident about starting to program next week on your applications. Some of you might still have some catching up to do, which is fine since, you know, we're not going to start coding until a week, about less than a week from now, next Monday. Remember, again, Friday is asynchronous, so I'm not going to see any of you. So I'm just going to be posting a learning journal for you to do by Friday at 3 p.m.